youngsters who think defense in today's NFL is soft, that players can't even touch quarterbacks anymore, let me tell you about a team that literally broke offenses.
Terrifying, devastating defense ever.
A team so violent, so dominant, that the NFL has now spent decades tightening rules to protect quarterbacks and receivers. A unit that shut out 2 playoff teams and held the Patriots to 7 rushing yards in the Super Bowl. That's not a typo. 7 yards on the ground for an entire Super Bowl. The 1985 Chicago Bears didn't just win games, they destroyed souls, revolutionized defensive football, and created a blueprint that teams are still trying to copy 40 years later. So how dominant were they actually? And why does every great defense today get compared to them? The Bears' journey to becoming the most feared defense in NFL history started in the most unlikely place, rock bottom. In 1981, Chicago went 6-10, their 5th losing season in 6 years. The once proud monsters of the Midway had become the laughingstock of the NFL. Soldier Field, once a fortress, had become a place where opposing teams came to pad their stats. The Bears hadn't won a championship since 1963, before the Super Bowl even existed. Chicago fans were tired of watching their team get embarrassed week after week. But everything changed when George Halas, the Bears' legendary owner and founder, made 2 crucial moves. First, he brought in Mike Ditka as head coach in 1982. Ditka was a former Bears tight end who understood the franchise's history and what it meant to wear that uniform. Iron Mike didn't come to rebuild, he came to restore dominance. But Ditka's most important decision wasn't who he hired, it was who he kept. Buddy Ryan had been the defensive coordinator under the previous regime, and most expected him to be fired. Ryan was abrasive, confrontational, and ran his defense like it was a completely separate team. Ditka and Ryan hated each other from day one. Their relationship was so toxic, they nearly came to blows multiple times. Ryan openly mocked Ditka in team meetings. Ditka wanted Ryan gone. But there was one problem. Ryan was a defensive genius who was building something special. What Ryan created wasn't just a defensive scheme. It was organized chaos that broke every rule of traditional football. The 46 defense, named after safety Doug Plank, who wore number 46, was unlike anything the NFL had ever seen. Instead of the standard 4-down lineman, Ryan would put 6, sometimes 7 defenders on the line of scrimmage. Imagine looking up from center and seeing nothing but monsters ready to tear your head off. The beauty of the 46 was its controlled insanity. Ryan would bring pressure from everywhere, linebackers, safeties, corners. You never knew who was coming. Offensive linemen had no idea who to block. If they picked up the 6 on the line, someone else was coming free. If they tried to account for the blitzers, the defensive line would eat them alive. Quarterbacks had about 2 seconds to throw before getting murdered. Running backs? Forget about it. There was nowhere to run when every gap was filled with a rabid defender. But here's what made it truly revolutionary. Ryan wasn't just sending random blitzes. Every player had a specific assignment designed to create havoc. The strong safety would line up like a linebacker. The middle linebacker, Mike Singletary, would call out adjustments that changed the entire defense at the line. It was organized destruction, and nobody could stop it. The pieces started coming together in 1984. The Bears drafted linebacker Wilbur Marshall in the first round, adding speed to an already nasty defense. They already had Dan Hampton, a defensive lineman so versatile he could play end or tackle. Steve Mongo McMichael, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2024 while battling ALS, was destroying offensive lines from his tackle spot. And Richard Dent, the 8th round pick nobody wanted, was on his way to becoming the most feared pass rusher in football. But the 1984 season ended in heartbreak. The Bears went 10-6 and made the playoffs, but lost to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game 23-0. That loss burned in every player's mind. They'd been embarrassed on the big stage, and they weren't going to let it happen again. When 1985 began, something was different. This wasn't just a good team anymore. This was a force of nature. The Bears opened the season by destroying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 38-28. But that score is misleading. Chicago's defense scored 2 touchdowns themselves and set up several others with turnovers. They were scoring points as fast as the offense. Game after game, the destruction continued. They beat the Patriots 20-7 in Week 2, a preview of what was coming in the Super Bowl. They destroyed the Vikings 33-24. They shut out the Cowboys 44-0 on the road. Think about that. America's team, in their own building, couldn't even score a single point. By Week 8, the Bears were 8-0, and they hadn't just been winning, they'd been dominating. The defense was averaging 4 sacks per game and forcing 3 turnovers per game. Opposing quarterbacks were getting happy feet before the ball was even snapped because they knew pain was coming. And the personalities? Larger than life. Mike Singletary, eyes bulging out of his head, calling out plays like a maniac. Jim McMahon, the punky quarterback who wore headbands with corporate slogans just to piss off the commissioner. But nobody captured America's attention like William the Refrigerator Perry. The Fridge was a 335-pound defensive tackle who Ditka started using as a fullback in goal line situations. When Perry scored his first touchdown, America lost its mind. Here was this massive human being, built like an actual refrigerator, running over defenders and dancing in the end zone. He became a cultural phenomenon, appearing on talk shows, getting endorsement deals, even wrestling at WrestleMania. The Bears weren't just winning, they were entertaining the hell out of America. Quick time out here. If you're enjoying this breakdown of the most dominant team in NFL history, do us a solid and hit that subscribe button. We're a brand new channel trying to grow to 10,000 subs, and we would appreciate it if you like our video and subscribe to our channel. This helps us bring you more legendary NFL stories like this one. All right, back to the Bears' quest for perfection. The Bears kept rolling, 9-0, 10-0, 11-0, 12-0. The 1972 Miami Dolphins, the only undefeated team in NFL history, were sweating. Don Shula and his boys were popping champagne every time a team lost, but the Bears kept winning. Chicago was 3 games away from perfection. Then came Monday Night Football in Miami, December 2nd, 1985. The stage was perfect. The Bears trying to match the Dolphins' perfect season in Miami on national television. But Jim McMahon was out with an injury. Backup Steve Fuller was starting, and Dan Marino, the Dolphins quarterback, had figured out the one weakness of the 46 defense. If you could get the ball out quick enough before the pressure arrived, you could hit the single coverage downfield. Marino carved them up. Quick slants, rapid-fire releases, perfect execution. The Dolphins won 38-24, preserving their place in history as the only undefeated team. The Bears were devastated. Some players cried in the locker room. They'd lost their chance at perfection. But here's what separated this team from others. They used that loss as fuel. Richard Dent famously said, "The Dolphins woke up a sleeping giant." The Bears wouldn't lose again. The Bears finished the regular season 15-1, tying the NFL record for wins. They'd scored 456 points while allowing just 198. Think about those numbers. They outscored opponents by 258 points, an average victory of 16 points per game. They had one of the most productive rushing and scoring offenses in the league while allowing the fewest points. Complete domination. The playoffs started with the New York Giants coming to a frozen Soldier Field for the divisional round. The temperature was 14 degrees with a wind chill below zero. The Giants punter Sean Landeta went to punt from his own end zone, but the wind caught the ball. He completely whiffed. The ball hit the ground and Bears defensive back Sean Gale scooped it up for a touchdown. The Bears won 21-0. The Giants never had a chance. The NFC Championship brought the Rams to Chicago. Eric Dickerson, the NFL's best running back, who'd rushed for 1,234 yards that season, managed just 46 yards. The Bears' defense was literally picking up Rams players and throwing them around like rag dolls. Quarterback Dieter Brock was 10 for 31 for 66 yards. The Rams gained 130 total yards. The Bears won 24-0, 2 playoff games, 2 shutouts, 0 points allowed. No team had ever done that before. No team has done it since. Super Bowl 20 in New Orleans became less of a football game and more of a public execution. The Patriots actually scored first, kicking a field goal after a Walter Payton fumble. They had the lead for exactly 1 minute and 19 seconds. It would be the only lead they'd have. What happened next was 55 minutes of pure devastation. The Bears' defense sacked Patriots quarterbacks 7 times. They forced 6 turnovers. They held New England to negative 19 yards of total offense in the first half. Negative 19. The Patriots finished with 7 rushing yards for the entire game. Not 7 yards per carry, 7 yards total. Patriots quarterback Tony Eason was 0 for 6 with 3 sacks before being benched. Steve Grogan came in and got murdered too. At one point, Richard Dent hit Grogan so hard that Grogan's helmet flew off and he just laid on the field wondering what truck hit him. Meanwhile, the Bears' offense was having fun. McMahon threw 2 touchdowns. Walter Payton, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, was supposed to score. But Ditka gave the touchdown to the fridge instead, creating controversy that exists to this day. Perry's 1-yard touchdown run made him the largest player to ever score in a Super Bowl. The final score was 46-10, but it wasn't that close. Richard Dent was named Super Bowl MVP with 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a blocked pass. The defense had pitched 2 playoff shutouts and held their Super Bowl opponent to 10 points. In 3 playoff games, they'd allowed 10 total points. That's not defense, that's domination. The 1985 Bears changed football forever. Their defense forced the NFL to adapt. Offensive coordinators started designing quick-hitting West Coast offenses specifically to combat pressure packages like the 46. The league eventually put more emphasis on rules protecting quarterbacks and receivers as passing offenses grew in an era shaped by brutal defenses like the '85 Bears. Every great defense since the 2000 Ravens, the 2002 Buccaneers, the 2013 Seahawks, the 2015 Broncos, they all get compared to one team, the '85 Bears. The numbers are staggering even 40 years later. They allowed 12.4 points per game in an era when offenses were exploding. They had 64 sacks and 54 total takeaways. In today's passing league, those numbers are unthinkable. No team has come close to matching their playoff dominance of allowing just 10 points in 3 games. 4 members of that defense are now in the Hall of Fame: Mike Singletary, Dan Hampton, Richard Dent, and Steve McMichael, who was finally inducted in 2024 while battling ALS. That's more Hall of Famers from one defensive core than many franchises have in their entire history. But beyond the statistics and accolades, the '85 Bears gave Chicago something it desperately needed: pride. For one magical season, Chicago wasn't Second City. They were the center of the football universe. Every member of that team became immortal in Chicago. You can't walk down Michigan Avenue without seeing someone in a Bears jersey from 1985. The team even recorded the Super Bowl Shuffle during the season, a rap video that went viral before viral was a thing. It got nominated for a Grammy. They were so confident they recorded it in November, basically guaranteeing a Super Bowl victory with 7 games left. That's not arrogance when you can back it up. That's prophecy. Here's the tragedy. This should have been a dynasty. The Bears had the youngest defense in football. Most of their stars were in their mid-20s. They should have won multiple Super Bowls, but ego destroyed them from within. Immediately after the Super Bowl, Buddy Ryan left to become head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. The defensive mastermind was gone. Ditka was actually happy about it, saying he was elated Ryan was leaving. But the defense was never the same without him. McMahon kept getting injured and never played a full season again. Charles Martin of the Packers literally body slammed him in 1986, targeting him intentionally. The offense could never find consistency without their punk rock quarterback. By 1988, the magic was gone. The Bears made the playoffs several more times, but never returned to the Super Bowl. One of the greatest teams ever assembled got exactly 1 championship. It's one of sports' greatest what-ifs. So where do the 1985 Bears rank among the greatest defenses of all time? Most experts say number 1, and it's not really close. The 2000 Ravens had a great defense, but they needed Trent Dilfer to not screw up. The 85 Bears defense scored touchdowns themselves. The 2002 Buccaneers were dominant, but they didn't shut out 2 playoff teams. The Steel Curtain Steelers were amazing, but they played in a run-first era. The 85 Bears dominated in a more pass-friendly era than the 1970s, going up against modern passing attacks and Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They made Pro Bowl running backs look like high schoolers. They didn't just beat teams, they psychologically destroyed them. Opponents talked about dreading that defense every time they saw Chicago on the schedule. Even today, with all the rule changes favoring offense, no defensive performance has matched what the Bears did in those 1985 playoffs. 3 games, 10 points allowed. It's a record that may never be broken. 40 years later, the 1985 Bears still influence football. When the Chiefs' defense dominated in their recent Super Bowl run, everyone compared them to the 85 Bears. When the 49ers defense terrorized quarterbacks in 2022, the comparison was to the 85 Bears. They're not just a team, they're the standard. Every defensive coordinator studies that 46 defense. The concepts Ryan created, overloading one side, disguising coverage, bringing pressure from unexpected angles, these are foundations of modern defense. You see it every Sunday. When a safety creeps into the box, that's Buddy Ryan. When linebackers show blitz then drop into coverage, that's the 46 defense evolved. Today's players still reference them. The Bears aren't just history, they're the blueprint. The 1985 Chicago Bears weren't just dominant, they were transcendent. They turned defense into must-see TV. They made 300-pound defensive tackles into celebrities. They revolutionized defensive football and forced the entire NFL to change. They gave a city its greatest sports moment and created legends that will live forever. In an era where offense sells tickets, where quarterbacks are protected like endangered species, where scoring 30 points might not be enough to win, the 85 Bears remind us that defense can be beautiful, that destruction can be art, that sometimes the best offense is making the other team's offense quit. They weren't just the best defense ever, they were the most dominant team ever. And until someone shuts out 2 playoff teams and holds a Super Bowl opponent to 7 rushing yards, they always will be. If you're still watching, you're exactly the kind of fan this channel is built for. We're a brand new channel grinding to grow. Our mission is simple: bring you the best NFL stories on YouTube. If this deep dive on the most dominant team ever hit for you, tap like and subscribe. It takes a second and tells the algorithm you want more. Drop a comment with which legendary team you want next. The 99 Rams, the 07 Patriots, the 89 49ers, or someone else you think deserves a spotlight. And when you're done, Cue up one of the videos on your screen about other NFL legend who completely changed the game. Until next time, remember, defense wins championships, but the '85 Bears defense won souls.